All right, let's move on to players that were buying the hype, right? We got to punish a lot of the guys already, you know what I'm saying? A lot of like the players who aren't playing well, but let's give some other players their flowers and if we believe the hype or not moving forward. The QB2 on the season is Daniel Jones. Like Daniel Jones of all players. The thing is, I don't know if you and I talked about this, but it's like Daniel Jones has weapons around him. He has used his legs in the past before. So it's not like, and we've seen Daniel Jones be like a top 12-ish type asset at the quarterback position when things were right with them. And it's like we gave up on him last year because he played terrible with the Giants. The Giants didn't have a whole lot of weapons around him. He went to Minnesota and was benched, but like before his ACL injury, that was his first year back from his ACL or second year back from his ACL. Sometimes it takes players 2 years to be fully healthy from their ACL repair. And Daniel Jones, a player who did like to use his legs, like he's in a very good spot with a very good head coach who is offensive minded and will let his quarterback use his legs. He is basically what I thought Anthony Richardson was going to be this year.
I think, I personally, I drafted a lot of Daniel Jones in like super flex leagues just because
smart.
I think I think, you know me, I love Josh Downs. I like Michael Pittman. Tyler Warren looks great right now. Like he really does. He looks like he was the guy to draft at the tight end position. We already kind of talked about this Colson Loveland, but once again, I didn't fully believe in Daniel Jones here.
I love Tyler Warren.
Tyler Warren looks great. And the other guy, like Jonathan Taylor is an absolute stud too. Like JT is
another
just
player,
a stud.
Man. Yeah.
But Daniel Jones is the one thing to remember, like we're playing fantasy football, so it doesn't matter if they're actually good. Like, I don't know if Daniel Jones is just like, he probably is the product of a good system, obviously, and just players around him. But like, who cares? Because also he's able to run, like, and he's also able to get touchdowns on the ground. So like a player like that, we've already seen him in Brian Dable's offense before be a top 10 quarterback in fantasy football. I wouldn't be shocked if he's top 10 quarterback for the rest of the year. Would I'd rather have him than like JJ McCarthy. I mean, JJ McCarthy's hurt, but easily him. Like, I really do think he pushes up there to like.
Here we go. Would you rather have Daniel Jones or Caleb Williams?
Probably Caleb.
Just because, but it's close like that. I think that's the biggest thing.
Caleb can also run. Like, that's the one nice thing, but like Caleb can run. So I'd take Caleb.
Okay, but that's would you rather have like Daniel Jones or Bo Nix?
I mean, right now, Daniel Jones, I think his weapons are better. Like, definitely. Like, he has good weapons. And that's the thing.
He's a high end. I would say at floor right now, Daniel Jones is a high end QB2. I don't think you can put him anywhere else outside of
100%.
He's proven it, and I think that the usage is there. The one thing we haven't seen, it's kind of like with Justin Fields. Like, we haven't seen like the bad game yet. We haven't seen like what does it look like when this offense isn't clicking. So I do want to see that because
I will say they played Denver. Like, that's the best competition. You're probably. I mean, I'm sure he definitely is going to play some other good defenses, but like that may be the toughest that it gets this year for him. Like, it may not get that much tougher. He's definitely going to struggle.
They have Miami week 1, so I'm like, I don't know. I want to see what he looks like.
Denver. Like, he looked good. He looked good against Denver.
What about your boy Drake May? Like, I mean, he's the QB6 right now. You can sit there and I feel like you already were like, hey, I expected this shit. You know, and I think Drake May was one of those players we knew he could be top 10, but is it real or is it fake?
I think it's real, but the only problem is I don't think the weapons are as like nowhere near as good as Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
So it's just, I could see him really. I think that there honestly will probably be lower lows with him compared to like a Daniel Jones, just because the weapons are just really bad around him. That's the biggest problem that I think with Drake May. But the nice thing with Drake May is he's able to run the ball, and like it gives them a really nice floor, even when he does struggle out there and isn't throwing for 200 yards. But the one nice thing too is we thought this team was going to be very run heavy, and I think this past week they were a little bit more just because they had a lot of success on the ground. But the first week they threw the ball a lot. Like this team has been a team that is showing
like 50 times the first week.
Yeah, they'll throw the ball, which is that. Hey, have a lot of attempts with a mobile quarterback. That's what you'd like to see. So I think Drake May can definitely be a top 10 quarterback. I don't know about top 5 just because the weapons aren't there
I
yet.
think he produces the weekly upside of like a top 5-ish to 10-ish quarterback. That's what you want. And I
Yeah.
think you got him in like the mid-tier QB, like high-end QB2 range. I think for me, like I think Drake May probably is a top 10 quarterback. The question that it was how is he going to play with these weapons? And the weapons don't matter. It kind of reminds me of Josh Allen before you got Stephon Diggs. It's like he can still carry, and he does have Stephon Diggs, who's probably going to get better. Kayshon Boutte has played like a better receiver this year. We still haven't seen any Kyle Williams there. Like, what does that look like when he gets better? What if Travion Henderson takes on a bigger role later in the passing game? Like, there's still a lot there. And you pair that up with Josh McDaniels. Like, I think he can. I think he'll only give. I think he's locked in as a top 10 guy the rest of the way. Let's go to receivers now. And we got to talk about my boy Rome, bro. Rome Odunze, the wide receiver 4. Even with all the stuff we were talking about that Chicago offense, you buying or selling Rome Odunze being a top 15 receiver the rest of the way?
I probably buy, and the reason why I buy is in the pre-draft process I did love Rome. I love like him, Malik, and Marv. I really love those guys in the pre-draft process, and he looks great right now. Now, the one thing I will say is Chicago lost by 30 points?
Yeah.
That was ugly. So they had to throw, but he was good from the start of the game. Even in last week, the only problem is just like, is Chicago going to be bad again?
You gotta kind of believe that Ben Johnson will get this thing right somehow. I just don't know what. I mean, you gave up 50 points last week to Detroit. Like, I know that was like kind of a revenge game, so to speak. But like, I just think that Caleb looks like the one in this offense, and the one in this offense to me seems like it's going to have a lot of value. He's averaging 10 targets a game right
Rome's
now.
The one.
Rome is the one, clearly over DJ Moore. And I think that was the biggest question. It was like, who's the one? You know, DJ Moore was going in the top 20. It's like Rome was the guy that should have been drafted over DJ Moore. And I think it was hard at the time because we've seen DJ Moore have this role for so long, seeing is believing sometimes. And it's like, I think Rome is kind of stuck in top 15 land now for the rest of the way. So if you're seeing a healthy 10 targets a game, he's going to finish with, you know, damn near 150 targets on the season. I think that spells a lot of good things for Rome, probably tap somewhere between the 8 to 10 touchdowns. This is an elite year for Rome Odunze. I don't think there's a reason to not buy into him. What about Zay Flowers? Zay Flowers right now currently the wide receiver 5 in a, you know, we've seen Zay Flowers kind of go through these splashes before, and he really has like those splash weeks. When he scores a touchdown, it's amazing. When he doesn't score the touchdown, it's kind of mediocre. Which one do you think we're getting? Elite Zay Flowers or mediocre Zay Flowers?
Probably a mix. I wasn't very high on Zay this year just because the offense. I do think Zay Flowers is another guy. I think Zay Flowers is a very good real-life wide receiver. A very, very good real-life wide receiver. The problem with him is I just think that there's going to be a lot of ups and downs. It was that year. It was that way last year. And the one thing that I could see happening is just when like Isaiah Likely comes back and they go to the 12 personnel a lot. I mean, they're probably already doing that, but when you have Isaiah Likely, who's you know, obviously a pretty good tight end, I think it just bogs down the offense a little bit. Last week they couldn't even run the football. I think Derrick Henry had like 10 yards, 11 yards.
5 yards. It was like he was like
5.
Something crazy. I know that was. I think it was first half. First half it was like 5 yards.
First half it was 5. Yeah, I think he had 5 carries for 5 yards. It was atrocious. I don't think he has. I would be surprised if he's a wide receiver 1, but that doesn't mean that he can't produce like it during, you know, a stretch. I think it's going to be a little bit inconsistent, but hey, maybe this is a kind of a change in the offense where they did say this preseason that they wanted to get him more involved in the offense, get him more targets instead of just like little design screens, get him down the field more, and they have been. He's looked pretty good, but we'll see. I don't think he's going to be a wide receiver 1. I think maybe a wide receiver 2, but if I could get wide receiver 1 for him, I trade him for personally my guy, Ladd McConkey. I do something like that. But I think he'll be, I do think he'll outproduce his ADP though.
I would definitely be sending like Zay Flowers for Nico, Drake, London, Brian Thomas, like AJ Brown, Ladd McConkey. Anybody in that like elite tier is a clean swap for me because I feel like Zay Flowers, we see this a lot with him. He'll have stretches of games where it looks good. And you talked about the weapons on his team. They go to different weapons. They'll go to Likely. They'll go to Derrick Henry games. And in the AFC North, when those games get a little bit colder and they get a little tougher, they're going to go to the ground game. We just know how it is. And Lamar will use his legs. I think Zay Flowers is definitely a sell high candidate. We've seen this before with him where he's been elite and then he falls off or goes back to kind of being regular. I would personally you can't expect more than 5 touchdowns from him on a year, like 5 to 7 touchdowns on a season.
Yeah, and Baltimore's also, how much are they? I know last week he still had a pretty solid game, but like week 1, how often are they going to be having to do what they did against Buffalo and scoring 40? Well, I guess they didn't have to. Buffalo kind of did, but they still had their way with Buffalo and put up 40. I don't think that a lot of games will be like that.
What about Wan'Dale Robinson? We saw Malik go crazy against the Dallas Cowboys, but kind of one of the unsung heroes of that game was Wan'Dale Robinson, who had over 140 yards, caught a touchdown. Like, this isn't the same Wan'Dale Robinson. At least we didn't see that in week 2. We didn't see the same Wan'Dale Robinson that we've seen over the years, which has been like a high volume guy, a Rondale Moorish, a Greg Dortch type role, 6 catches for 60 yards. Like, it's about 10 yards a catch. And that's about it. With Wan'Dale, we're seeing, at least over the weekend, we saw a little bit more out of him. And there was talks this offseason that he was going to play a bigger role. We know Russ likes to throw deep. Is this a guy that can be a consistent part of our fantasy lineups? Like, can Russ carry this? Or is this like, hey, we're definitely selling Wan'Dale Robinson?
The only problem, I don't think anybody would buy it, though. Like, do you think people would be buying Wan'Dale? I don't think people
I think there's some leagues out there where I would see, okay, he's been a top 9 receiver right now. I could start him as my wide receiver 3 because I may have drafted a bunch of players. I'm 0-2, and I drafted a bunch of players who aren't performing.
So who would you be trading him for?
If I was going Wan'Dale Robinson, like if I had Wan'Dale Robinson, which a lot of people probably picked him up, he would probably be a pickup right now because most people don't have him. Yeah, but if I was looking, I would kind of be looking in like that wide receiver 3 tier of players who maybe aren't performing right now. So I would be looking for like a Devontae Smith, Wan'Dale, and somebody else for Devontae Smith. I think you might be able to flip that deal, Wan'Dale, or I'm trying to think of like those wide receiver 3s.
I feel like you'd have to get somebody that you think is going to, like, I'm thinking more of a Bayshal Tune type of person. I don't think anybody would trade a Devontae Smith for him.
You don't think so? I think there's. I think if you put Wan'Dale with somebody else, somebody would do that.
I don't know if anybody. What I'll say about Wan'Dale is do I expect Wan'Dale to be a wide receiver 1? Absolutely not. But I do like, he had 140 targets last year, and I know a lot of it's by design and whatever. I don't think he's a bad, like, the other problem Wan'Dale's had throughout his entire career is he just can't stay healthy. He hasn't been able to stay on the field. But I do think he's somebody who can earn targets at a decently high rate, and this is just a hyper-focused offense right now on 2 players. And do I think Russell Wilson is going to throw for 450 yards a game? No, absolutely not. But I also think the Giants, especially right now, they have nothing to lose at the moment because Brian Dable's seat is incredibly hot. Like, there is no way management is going to let him be like 0-8 and still survive throughout the season. So I don't, it's not necessarily that I would sell if I can get somebody that I really believe in.
So I got the perfect trade right now. If you have Wan'Dale Robinson, or you somehow get him, you see this video after Tuesday and you pick them up off of waivers, there's one thing you do. You go type in the little search bar, you go to the team that has Matthew Golden, and you say Wan'Dale Robinson for Matthew Golden, I'll take him off your hands, and you win that deal throughout the rest of the league. So that's the kind of player I'll be targeting, a wide receiver 3 that maybe he's been struggling, that has high upside.
Yeah, that's a good one. I do that.
All right, and then same thing with Troy Franklin. I don't want to spend too much time on Troy Franklin. He's had a few targets, but he had a good game. He's kind of a waiver player to me, not anything substantial. He's the wide receiver 12.
Some upside potentially. Like, he is a second-year player. We'll see what happens.
I think if you drafted Marvin Mims, that's the type of value I'd put on Troy Franklin. Like, wide receiver 2, risky. You're probably not playing him until bye weeks. What about Emeka Egbuka? He's right over Troy Franklin as the wide receiver 11. Sell? You selling the rookie?
Let's be honest. His value is incredibly high.
Incredibly high. Okay.
It's not that I would sell. I don't want to say I would just flat out sell. But I don't even think he has 100 receiving yards yet
on the season.
on the season. I don't even think he has 100 receiving yards. But the biggest thing is the 3 touchdowns. Like, how likely is it that he's probably going to have 10 touchdowns on the year? I think he'll probably come under. Like, would you say over under? So now for the rest
I'll
of the
say
season,
yeah.
like you're saying 7 touchdowns for the rest of the year. He's probably going to go through a long drought of not scoring touchdowns here. And I'm not saying he still can't produce like solid fantasy numbers. He probably will have decent numbers, but he's also banged up right now. I I don't think he's going to have 1,200 receiving yards. He's probably going to be around like 900, crack 1,000. So it's just one of these guys that I think everybody's like, oh my God, I knew I should have drafted.
I was
Where
so right about him.
you could flip it with like Travis Hunter, and Travis Hunter has the touchdowns now, and everybody's like, oh my God, I knew I should have drafted Travis Hunter. He has 3 touchdowns and like 90 yards receiving. Like, yeah, we're there. I wouldn't be right now with Emeka Egbuka. Listen, it's not that I think he's bad or anything, but the 3 touchdowns definitely help because did you check that does he even have 100 receiving yards?
He has 96 yards right now.
96 yards. Like, that's not a whole lot. Now, it's not to say that he can't get better. Like, obviously,
he has 8 catches right now, 8 catches for 96 yards.
Like, and that's one game for some guys.
For a lot of the players that we like in the top 12, that's one game. Ladd McConkey is crushing that.
I'd rather have Ladd. Like, if I could swap those 2 guys, easily.
There's not a top 12 receiver pre-draft process. There's not a top 12 receiver right now that I wouldn't trade Emeka Egbuka for.
AJ Brown, easily. And I really think that now that one is, I really think people would do that. Like, there'd probably be people out there that would honestly do that, or just throw a little something on the side, throw in Wandell.
I honestly, genuinely think if there's a receiver that's like a Nico Collins, you might be able to, just depending on your league. We're talking to a lot of people here, but in your league, I would be sending out, what can I get for Egbuka right now? Can I get a Nico Collins? Can I get a Drake London? Can I get an AJ Brown? I know you don't like him. AJ Brown, Ladd McConkey.
No, I'd buy easily AJ Brown.
I feel like for Egbuka, it's like, just send that shit. There's less of a possibility of him being a top 12 guy. And if he does, great. Like, if he does finish top 12, great for the other person that got that deal. But I think you can raise the floor of your team by, you drafted Egbuka probably in the 3rd round. You're getting a top 2 round asset here in week 2 because they had a couple bad games. Immediately, those are the deals you try to make.
Well, and I don't see him on this list, but real quick, like, what happens if next week Matthew Golden has 6 catches for 120 yards and 2 touchdowns, and Emeka Egbuka has 3 catches for 40 yards and doesn't score, and all of a sudden we're looking at basically the same stat line for these 2 guys. But last week everybody's like, oh my God, Emeka's already made it. Literally the same player now.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
So
especially we're talking week 6. They could have similar stat lines. We're talking week 6. Him and Travis Hunter could have similar stat lines.
And one of them's dead right now, basically. Yeah. People are thinking easily, should I drop Matthew Golden right now already on the season?
Drop him. Flat out drop, which is crazy.
Everybody's already probably, hey, Emeka's probably going to be a wide receiver 1. And like you said, 6 weeks from now, it'll probably be the same stats for both these guys. And everybody like, holy shit, what an overreaction.
That's what we do, though. We overreact, and it's sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And I think it goes to overreactions even in the preseason. Like, before a football game is played, we label players if they're good or they're bad based on our expectations of them coming here. Your take is already wrong. My take is already right. Like, before the games are even played.